Yeah, so my name's Squadron Leader S, and I'm from 75 Squadron at RAAF Base Tyndall in the Northern Territory. I joined the Air Force 35 years ago when I joined the Royal Air Force in the UK as an 18-year-old boy straight out of school, and I was very fortunate to become a flying instructor straight out of the training system, and then I went on to fly the Harrier, both the GR3 and the GR5. And after about 12 years in the RAAF, I decided that the weather in the UK wasn't suiting my lifestyle, and looked for some better weather and moved down here to Australia. So I moved to Australia in 2001, where I was an instructor on the Hawk for 2 years before I was able to get a conversion onto the F18. And I've been flying the F18 Classic Hornet now for 16 years, and I've had the privilege of serving on all of the squadrons that the RAAF has flying the Classic Hornet. So at the time I was flying the Harrier, the UK was involved in an awful lot of operations in the Middle East and also in the former Yugoslavia. We were spending a lot of time away from home, and I had just started a young family, and 7 months a year away from home was just too much for me. So I was looking for a change, which is why I moved to Australia, and the opportunity to fly the Hawk, which was a training aircraft, and that gave me a bit more stability at home. And I had flown the Hawk in the Royal Air Force as well, so I had that qualification as an instructor and a Hawk pilot. That's what initially got me to move to Australia. I get asked that a lot, and I have to say that it's been a privilege to fly both of them, and I honestly cannot pick between the two. They are two distinctly different aircraft, and certainly, going into combat, I feel a lot more comfortable in the F18 Hornet with the ability to have the radar, to build situational awareness, to have weapons capable of not only defending myself but protecting other assets, whereas the Harrier's role was very much in the offensive air support role, supporting Army, doing close air support. I was very, very good at it, and very capable airplane, especially in the sort of Cold War European environment there. So distinctly different airplane, both fantastic fun to fly. Just look at the weather here today. That's there's the main difference. The way the Royal Air Force operates is not vastly different to the way the Royal Australian Air Force. Obviously we have a long history together, so no surprises there. The main difference is that the Royal Air Force I was in the mid-90s was still coming out the end of a Cold War and very much focused on that type of higher risk operations. Obviously the whole world has changed since the mid-90s. And so the differences that I experience today in the Royal Air Force are more about how the climate has changed globally rather than actual differences between the air forces. So 75 Squadron will see the Classic Hornet out of service. They'll be the last squadron to serve with the Classic Hornet, and then eventually 75 Squadron will switch over to fly the F-35, as will the other 81 wing squadrons. Well, I hope they get an opportunity to come along to events like this where they can actually see the aircraft in action. They can get up close and personal with the aircraft and the air crews, because that's certainly what inspired me as a young man. I wasn't doing particularly well at school, and particularly being a young male, needed something to motivate me to try a bit harder at school. And so to all the parents out there, get your children along to events like this, let them immerse themselves in the experience, and you'll find that actually there's nothing scary about it. We're all normal human beings, and the military offers fantastic opportunities for young men and women.
Said that you've flown with every squadron that's flown the F18 Hornet with the Australian Air Force. Can you explain the differences in the roles that these squadrons do, and also, how the inner rivalry between the squadrons, and how much fun that makes it good to be at certain squadrons in certain parts of life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is a real privilege to have that opportunity, and there's only been a few people that have. 2OCU it stands by itself in its personality. It's obviously a training squadron and has that high-end training focus. The other 3 squadrons, it's interesting that you get lots of different people coming through the squadrons, but every squadron does have its own personality, and that's really special. Right now, 75 Squadron being the only squadron that's not at Williamtown, that enables it to have a personality in its own right, and everyone has a sort of special place in their heart for various squadrons. My first squadron was 77 Squadron, and that'll always be special because it was my first squadron. I was the executive officer on 3 squadrons, so that has a special place, and my last squadron will be 75 Squadron. So for me personally, they all have a special place. As far as the rivalry goes, the analogy that I give for the rivalry of squadrons is a bit like football teams, in that the best squadron is the one you're on at the time, and the best human beings are the ones that you're working with at that time on the squadron. But at the end of the day, when you take a football team and they come together and they play for Australia, it doesn't matter what teams they came from, they play for one team, and that rivalry is very healthy and encourage us to all perform at the highest level, so that when we do come together, we can do what's required for our country.
You've participated in a couple of dawn strikes.
Yep.
For all the flying that you've done, can you explain just what it means to the students who have completed the course and they're about to be presented with their patches, and also for the instructors that have helped them through the course, just the importance of dawn strike and how important what used to be FCI course is now the AWIC course, and what that brings to the Air Force in general?
Absolutely, yeah. So the Air Warfare Instructors course, or the FCI course, obviously is a 6-month-long course with an incredible amount of effort, not only for the candidates on that course, but also for all the people supporting it, including the instructors. So when it comes to Dawn Strike, it's just an event that signifies sort of closure, the end of that course, and it's just a way to signify that, but also show your appreciation for all those people that support it, that don't necessarily have the honour to get in the airplane and go flying. And so to fly over the base at the end of the Dawn Strike, to be met by friends and family as you get out of the airplane, is something that's really special. And for the instructors on the course, a lot of the time the work that they do, it goes sort of unacknowledged, and that morning gives people the opportunity to just take a moment to acknowledge the efforts of everybody that go into getting those 6 to 10 people through the course.